Emma, you forgot to pick up Michael again. My mother's voice dripped with disappointment through the phone. He waited at soccer practice for an hour. This is getting ridiculous. I gripped my steering wheel, parked in a grocery store lot I didn't remember driving to. My nephew Michael, soccer practice, Tuesday afternoons. The routine I followed for 2 years was now a foggy mess in my mind. I'm sorry, I whispered, fighting back tears. I wrote it down, I swear I did. I couldn't remember where I put the note. You're 32, not 82, Mom snapped. These excuses about forgetting things are getting old. First the missed dinner last week, now this. Are you trying to punish us for something? I wanted to explain how terrifying it was to find myself in places without remembering the drive there. How my normally spotless apartment was now cluttered with sticky notes reminding me to eat, to take my keys, to lock the door. How it started recording voice memos because I couldn't trust my own memory anymore. But they'd heard it all before. To them, I was just being dramatic. Maybe if you spent less time making up excuses and more time organizing your life, Mom continued, but I was distracted by my reflection in the rearview mirror. When had I put on this blue sweater? I could have sworn I was wearing white this morning. Are you even listening? Mom's voice cut through my confusion. Yes, sorry, I'll do better, I said automatically, a response that had become my shield against their criticism. Later that evening, my sister Kate came by, probably sent by Mom to lecture me. She found me staring at my phone's photo gallery, trying to piece together the past few months through pictures I didn't remember taking. Enough is enough, Emma, she said, dropping onto my couch. This forgetful act isn't cute anymore. Michael was really upset today. It's not an act, I said quietly, showing her my phone. Kate, I don't remember taking any of these photos. This one from last weekend. I have no idea where I was or who these people are. She glanced at the photo. Me smiling with friends at what looked like a restaurant, and rolled her eyes. Oh please, that's from Jenny's birthday dinner. You're in the group chat about it. Stop being paranoid. Who's Jenny? Kate's expression shifted from annoyed to angry. Your best friend since college? Now you're just being ridiculous. Mom's right, you're doing this for attention. I felt that familiar fog creeping in, the one that made everything feel distant and unfamiliar. Kate, something's wrong. I'm scared. Yesterday I couldn't remember how to get to work. I've driven that route for 6 years. You're probably just stressed, she dismissed, standing up. Or maybe this is about Tom breaking up with you. Look, we all go through rough patches, but pretending to have memory problems isn't the answer. Tom? Who was Tom? The look on my face must have given away my confusion because Kate threw up her hands in exasperation. Seriously? Now you're pretending not to remember your ex? The guy you dated for 2 years until last month? I felt sick. A 2-year relationship I couldn't remember. I'm making an appointment with Dr. Phillips, I said, reaching for my phone. Something's really wrong. The neurologist? Kate scoffed. Emma, you don't need a brain doctor. You need to grow up and stop playing these games. But I wasn't playing. The next morning, I found myself in my car, already dressed for work, with no memory of getting ready or leaving my apartment. The sticky notes on my dashboard told me my office's address and parking spot number. When had I become so dependent on these written reminders? I called Dr. Phillips' office from the parking lot, my voice shaking as I explained my symptoms. The receptionist must have heard the fear in my voice because she squeezed me in for that afternoon. My family's response was predictable. A neurologist? Really, Emma? Dad texted. Your mother is very upset about this attention-seeking behavior. Stop being paranoid, Kate messaged. You're going to waste everyone's time and money. But as I sat in Dr. Phillips' office, describing the increasing frequency of my memory lapses, the disorientation, the lost chunks of time, I knew I wasn't being paranoid. Something was very wrong, and for the first time, someone was actually listening to me. We'll start with some cognitive tests, Dr. Phillips said kindly, and then I want to schedule an MRI. Better to be thorough. I nodded, relief washing over me. Finally, someone was taking me seriously. Would you like me to call your family? She asked, noting my distress. Sometimes it helps to have support during testing. I thought about their mockery, their dismissal, their constant accusations of attention-seeking. No, I said firmly. They don't believe anything's wrong anyway. Let's just get the tests then. Little did I know, those test results would silence their laughter forever. The cognitive tests were a nightmare. I couldn't remember simple sequences, struggled with basic word associations, and completely failed at recreating patterns I'd been shown just moments before. Dr. Phillips' face remained professionally neutral, but I saw the concern in her eyes. "Emma," she said gently after the tests, "I've scheduled an emergency MRI for tomorrow morning. Can you have someone drive you?" I thought about asking Kate or Mom, but the idea of enduring their skepticism during such a vulnerable moment was unbearable. "I'll take a cab," I replied. That night, I found myself staring at photos on my wall, trying to spark memories that should have been there. There was one of me at what looked like a beach, but I couldn't remember the trip. Another showed me hugging a man. Was this Tom, the boyfriend I'd supposedly dated for 2 years? My phone buzzed with a group text from my family. "Mom, Emma, this has gone far enough. Cancel that MRI. Kate, you're wasting money and everyone's time. Dad, Princess, whatever's bothering you, we can talk about it. You don't need medical tests." I turned off my phone. They still thought this was some elaborate cry for attention, but tomorrow would prove them wrong. Part of me was terrified of what the MRI might show, but another part desperately wanted validation, proof that I wasn't making this up. The next morning, I lay still in the MRI machine, trying to calm my racing heart as it whirred and clicked around me. Dr. Phillips had explained the procedure, but I'd already forgotten most of what she'd said. I focused instead on the simple task of breathing. After what felt like hours, it was done. Dr. Phillips asked me to wait in her office while she reviewed the results. I sat there, fidgeting with my phone, still turned off to avoid my family's messages. When she returned, her expression made my stomach drop. "Emma," she said, sitting down heavily, "I'm going to call your family. They need to be here for this discussion." "Please," I protested. "They'll just say I'm being dramatic." She shook her head, pulling up something on her computer screen. "Not after they see these results. This isn't something anyone can dismiss." Despite my objections, she called them. To my surprise, they came immediately, probably expecting to prove once and for all that I was faking. Mom swept in first, her face set in disapproval. Kate followed, already rolling her eyes. Dad brought up the rear, looking worried but not about my health. More likely about the medical bills he assumed I was wasting money on. "Thank you for coming," Dr. Phillips began, turning her screen toward them. "I need to show you Emma's MRI results." "Doctor, with all due respect," Mom started, "our daughter has always been a bit attention-seeking." "Mrs. Harrison," Dr. Phillips cut in firmly, "please look at the screen." The image showed my brain from various angles, with several areas highlighted in angry red. Even to my untrained eye, something looked very wrong. "This," Dr. Phillips pointed to the largest red area, "is a tumor pressing on Emma's temporal lobe, the area responsible for memory formation and recall." The room went silent. Kate's hand flew to her mouth. Mom sank into a chair. Dad's face went pale. "It's relatively rare in someone Emma's age, but the symptoms she's been experiencing, the memory loss, the disorientation, the lost time, these are all consistent with this type of tumor." I watched as the color drained from my mother's face. All those times she'd accused me of being dramatic, of seeking attention, flashed across her expression. "How?" Kate's voice cracked. "How long has this been there?" "Based on the size and Emma's reported symptoms, probably several months at least." Dr. Phillips' voice was gentle but firm. "If she hadn't insisted on these tests, it might have gone undetected much longer." My father, usually so composed, had tears in his eyes. "But you can treat it, right? There's something you can do." Dr. Phillips nodded slowly. "We have options, but we need to act quickly. Emma will need surgery, followed by a comprehensive treatment plan." I sat there, strangely calm, as my family fell apart around me. Mom was openly crying now. Kate couldn't stop apologizing, and Dad kept asking about treatment details with a shaking voice. "I tried to tell you," I said quietly, not accusingly, just stating a fact. "I knew something was wrong." Mom reached for my hand, her fingers trembling. "Emma, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. We should have listened." "We were horrible," Kate whispered. "All those times we mocked you." Dr. Phillips interrupted gently. "What Emma needs now is support, not guilt. We have a lot to discuss about treatment options." As she outlined the treatment plan, I watched my family transform from skeptics to supporters in real time. Every dismissive word, every eye roll, every accusation of attention-seeking was replaced with concern, love, and desperate desire to help. The diagnosis changed everything, but it wasn't just about the tumor. It was about being heard, being believed, being validated after months of dismissal. As terrifying as the road ahead looked, at least I wouldn't have to walk it alone anymore. 6 months after my diagnosis, I sat in Dr. Phillips' office reviewing my latest scan results. The surgery had been successful, the tumor removed, and my follow-up treatments were showing promising results. My memory was slowly improving, though some gaps from before the surgery would likely remain permanent. Your recovery is remarkable, Emma. Dr. Phillips smiled, showing me the comparison between my first MRI and today's. How are things at home? I thought about the dramatic shift in my family dynamics. The same people who had once dismissed my concerns now tracked my every symptom with almost obsessive attention. Mom had moved into my spare room temporarily after the surgery, maintaining a detailed journal of my recovery. Kate visited daily, bringing home-cooked meals and endless apologies. They're trying to make up for not believing me, I explained. Sometimes it's overwhelming, but I know it comes from love. And guilt. So much guilt. The night before my surgery, Mom had broken down completely. I kept telling you to just try harder, she'd sobbed. My baby was sick, and I treated her like she was making it up. Kate had her own moment of reckoning when we found my old phone recordings. Confused, frightened voice notes I'd left myself during episodes of memory loss. Listening to them, she had to leave the room, unable to face the evidence of her dismissal. Dad showed his remorse differently. He threw himself into researching every aspect of my condition, joining support groups and consulting with specialists. The father who had once told me to stop being dramatic now challenged my doctors if he thought they weren't being thorough enough. Your family's making progress too, Dr. Phillips observed. It's not easy for them to reconcile their previous behavior with what you went through. She was right. Every small victory in my recovery was celebrated, but also tinged with their lingering guilt. When I successfully drove myself to an appointment for the first time post-surgery, Mom cried. Happy tears mixed with painful memories of scolding me for forgetting to pick up Michael. Speaking of Michael, my 11-year-old nephew had been my most understanding family member throughout everything. It's okay, Aunt Emma, he'd said after I apologized for all the missed soccer practices. Your brain was sick, but you're getting better now. The simplicity of his forgiveness made the adult's previous skepticism seem even more glaring. Today, leaving Dr. Phillips' office with my positive scan results, I decided to stop by the grocery store, the same one where I'd once found myself parked with no memory of driving there. The difference was stark. Now I remembered the drive, chose my items purposefully, and didn't need sticky notes to find my way home. My phone buzzed with a familiar family group chat. Mom, how did the scan go? Kate, tell us everything. Dad, do you need a ride home, princess? I smiled, typing, all clear, heading home now. Yes, I remember the way. The last part was our little joke now, a way of reclaiming those painful memories and transforming them into something lighter. My family had learned to laugh with me, not at me. When I got home, they were all waiting in my apartment. Mom, Dad, Kate, and Michael. A congratulations banner hung in my living room, and the coffee table was laden with my favorite foods. We know we can't make up for not believing you, Kate said, hugging me tightly, but we can celebrate every victory with you now. Mom wiped tears from her eyes as she showed me the brain-shaped cake she'd ordered. Too soon for tumor jokes? She asked nervously. I laughed, actually laughed. Never too soon. The beauty of recovery wasn't just physical. It was watching my family grow, learn, and change. The mother who had dismissed my symptoms now advocated fiercely for others with invisible illnesses. Kate had started volunteering at a neurological support group. Dad used his experience to counsel other families dealing with similar diagnoses. As we celebrated my clean scan, I looked around at their faces, no longer marked by skepticism or dismissal, but by love, understanding, and hard-earned wisdom. I proposed a toast, Dad said, raising his glass. To Emma, who taught us all that sometimes the person crying for help is the strongest one in the room. And to family, I added, who can learn, grow, and do better. My memory might never be perfect again, but some things I would never forget. The journey from dismissal to diagnosis, from skepticism to support, from broken trust to renewed bonds. The tumor had changed more than just my brain. It had transformed my family's heart. Later that night, as everyone was leaving, Mom hugged me longer than usual. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered, "not just for beating this, but for standing up for yourself when none of us would stand with you." I hugged her back, remembering those dark days of confusion and dismissal, grateful they were behind us. Sometimes the hardest lessons leave the deepest impact. My family had learned theirs, and we were stronger for it. The sticky notes were gone from my walls now, but we kept one. It hung on my fridge, written in my shaky pre-surgery handwriting. "Trust yourself. You know when something's wrong." It served as a reminder, both of how far we'd come and of the truth we'd all learned. Sometimes the people who seem paranoid are actually the most perceptive of all.